Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this email marketing guide, you're going to get a complete done for you email automation template that you can copy for yourself using a free tool called MailerLite. We're going to go click by click through the software as well as go through all of the strategies and automations you need to set up in order to be successful with your email marketing. So timestamps below along with some other helpful videos to getting the rest of your funnel and sales process set up. So here with our growth framework, we're going to be looking at how to actually collect those emails. Then we're going to go through the sales sequence, how to set up an evergreen sequence for people who don't ultimately buy your product or service, and of course, create a customer sequence to make sure that people are happy and ready to engage with your product, as well as all of the automations and click by click settings in between. So of course, the very first step in this process that you're looking at here is making sure that someone actually enters their name and email in the first place, right? We need to collect that contact information in order for your email marketing to be successful. And to do this, we're going to follow a proven conversion plan. That is a plan to convert all of your audience members and prospects into leads and email subscribers. And the best way to do this is using something called a lead magnet. Now, if you already know what a lead magnet is, you can go ahead and jump ahead to this timestamp where we actually start going through MailerLite and setting up the automations. Now, all a lead magnet is going to be some sort of valuable free offer or some sort of taste of your product or service or the types of products and services that you provide in exchange for contact information. This is not something that should be seen as a throwaway offer or a throwaway product. You actually need to put time and energy into this in order for your email marketing automations to work. After all, if someone goes and gets a lead magnet and they don't find value in it, well, they're probably not going to open your emails because the assumption is if you didn't put any effort into this, you're probably not putting any effort into anything else, or they're just going to assume that you created this thing so that you could pitch them a product or service. You weren't actually trying to be helpful. So let's rapid fire go through some ideas. I'll also link up in the cards and the description to a full-blown video that takes a deep dive into all the different types of lead magnets. I recommend starting with a PDF. So you can do an audit, a template, a resource guide, or a report. So the advantage of using an audit or template is you're helping someone go through a process and figure either with the audit, figure out everything that they're doing wrong so they can see the value of your product or service, or with a template, you're just giving them a quick win. So whether you're creating a resource guide where you're just giving your best resources or a report where you're doing a bunch of research for them, the lead magnet needs to give them a quick win. It needs to be valuable. Now, if you have more time to spend on a lead magnet, you can go ahead and create a full-blown video presentation. So it can be a video training. You can put together a webinar using webinar software, although I definitely don't recommend doing that. Just follow the free software tutorial we have right here. And then of course you can also cut up your video and do a 4-part series, or if you have some testimonials and case studies, you can include those as a lead magnet. Now, the reason that people like seeing case testimonials, not case testimonials, I'm talking over myself. The reason that they like case studies is because you're able to show how someone in a situation very similar to your new email subscriber was able to achieve a result that they're looking for. And the final type we have is an Excel sheet. I won't spend too much on this, a Google or an Excel sheet. You can go over to Fiverr, Upwork, Freelancer Guru, find an Excel geek who can build you some sort of calculator, tracker, or organizer. You don't have to be an Excel or Google Sheets person to do this yourself. So I briefly went over that again. Cards in the description for a video that takes a much deeper dive on this, but this is the core of your conversion plan. So of course we need to create a place for people to provide their contact information, and that's going to be our landing page. So we're going to use MailerLite to create our landing pages or squeeze page. Now the difference between a landing page and a squeeze page is just a squeeze page has a little bit less information on it. So this is an example of a landing page that you can create in MailerLite. As you can tell, it's very basic, very simple, and most importantly, it works. So all we need for our landing pages or squeeze pages, we're going to have a headline that clearly states what the lead magnet is going to help our new email subscribers do, a couple of bullet points that elaborate on how great the lead magnet is, and then of course a call to action, some way for someone to enter their name and email email. And it's good to have a graphic, right? Because if we just had text on this page, it would look a little too plain, right? We need some sort of graphical representation of what we're offering. So this is another example of what a squeeze page can look like. So the previous two were landing pages simply because they had bullet points, whereas this one is considered a squeeze page because it's just a headline and a picture, and it's okay. This is as complex as it needs to be. Here's another example of a squeeze page where we have even less on the page. So let's dive right into MailerLite and build your landing page. So the reason I like MailerLite so much is because you're actually able to set up all the automations you need with their free plan, unlike MailChimp or ConvertKit, where they have free plans, but you can't actually create automated sequences. So once you're inside of MailerLite, I'll link up in the description to an affiliate link where you can check it out. If you do decide to upgrade, we do receive a small commission as a way to support this channel. So inside of your MailerLite account, all you have to do is click on Sites up here, and then click on Create Landing Page. You can see in this particular account, we have a couple of landing pages already set up. For your free plan, you have up to 5 before they ask you for any money. And then we'll go ahead and give our landing page a name. I like naming it something simple that I can remember, and we have a 3-letter code for all of our landing pages and funnels. So we'll go ahead and call this Content Marketing Funnel, save and continue. So then what we need to do is set up our first automation, set up a group so that when someone enters their name and email on this page, they're added to our sales sequence. We want our sales sequence to start as soon as someone enters their name and email, right? So we'll go ahead and click on Add New Group and give the group the exact same name I gave the landing page. That way it's very easy to know that this group goes with this landing page. And then we'll go ahead and click on Create. Now what's a little quirky is you actually have to come down here and select it now. So just because you made it doesn't mean it's selected. And if we go over to our diagram here, you'll see that this is the first rule that we've set up for our Convert plan. So we have our landing page here, and as soon as someone enters their name and email, our first rule has started. Now, if it's a little confusing, don't worry. It's going to make perfect sense by the end of this training. So let's go back over to MailerLite, and we'll go ahead and click on Save and Continue. Now, they have a bunch of templates for you to choose from. However, if you want to go as quickly as possible and just follow this outline, then go ahead and just select the first one because we're actually going to remove everything. So I'll go ahead and click on Select. It'll take a little bit to load. I included this here because you're going to get used to loading times. It's one of the downsides of MailerLite. It seems to take a really long time to load. But once it does, we can come up here to Actions, and then we're going to click on Remove All Content Blocks. So it's going to ask us to type in remove to confirm that we do in fact want to delete everything scorched earth, and we'll go ahead and click on remove here, and we're going to select a headline, we're going to select some text, and then we're going to come down here and select a sign up form, and those are all of the elements we're going to need for our page. Now optionally you can go ahead and select text one more time, and this is going to be where you include your disclaimer text, your terms of service, earnings disclaimer, and privacy policy. I won't get into that because I'm not a lawyer and I'm not giving you legal advice, but you should probably check on your traffic sources advertising policies to make sure that you're in line, because places like Google and Facebook like having those things at the bottom. So now let's go ahead and come over here to settings, and we're going to make sure that we get our fonts and colors correctly before we start modifying the page. I highly recommend you do it here because then it's not only going to apply to this page, but it's also going to apply to your confirmation page. It's going to make things a lot easier. So first thing we're going to do is change our font. So I like using Open Sans, so I'll just go ahead and select Open Sans. You can play around with the fonts, whatever works best for you and your brand. And then of course we'll change this background, and we're going to change the background to white. You'll notice that there's actually this little gray box at the bottom here that takes up almost half the page. So I don't really like how that looks, and we'll go ahead and click on Save, and now the entire page is white. Of course, you can change it to whatever color you'd like. So we'll go over to our headings here. I'm going to center it, so the heading's in the center. I don't know why that's not that way by default. We'll come up here to our color, and I'm going to change it to blue. So I like blue, and we'll go ahead and click on Save here. So we'll go down to our button now. So this is going to be the subscribe button that we're modifying. So I'll click on the button. I'm going to change the color to green or orange, and I like changing it away from red because red means stop, right? We want people to go, right? So we'll go ahead and change the button color to orange here, and then I'm actually going to change the hover color to something else in a moment. So we'll go ahead and change that to orange. I'm going to increase the font size. Now the reason I do this is because it's the only way you can actually make the button bigger. So we're going to go ahead and jump that font size up to 24, and now you can see the font is a lot bigger. And we're going to click on hover now and change that color to green. So now when someone hovers over it, it's going to be green, and we are good to go. I'll just go ahead and click on save. And with that, we've modified all of the text and the colors that we need. Of course, you can go way more crazy than this, but for time purposes, I think that's enough, right? So let's go ahead and mouse over here and edit our opt-in box. So the first thing we want to do here is go ahead and remove the heading and also change up this text. And you can either include a little bit of text here, or what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete it, and then I'm going to change the text button here to access now. And so we just have we have a place for our image here, and we're going to have our sign up form. Now, because I don't really like the way that this looks and you can't actually stack them, we're going to come over here to form, and we're going to add another field, the name field, and drag it up top. So that way it stacks, and I just think aesthetically it looks better. So we'll go ahead and go back over to content here, and now we need to select an image for our lead magnet, our offer. I'm blanking out here. So then you can go ahead and upload whatever image you have for your lead magnet. If you're not quite sure how to create an image, you can use a free tool called Canva. Actually, these were created in PowerPoint, so you don't have to be super graphically inclined. I'll go ahead and select this one, and now our squeeze page is coming together. So we'll go ahead and exit out of this and come down to our disclaimer text. Of course, I'm going to leave it up to you with whatever you actually need to include with your disclaimer text. So I'll come up here to our subheadline, and I will drop in our subheadline and get the free blueprint so you can make 2021, 2040, your breakout year, whatever year it is. Let's make it the breakout year, right? If you've seen any of the copywriting tutorials on this channel, you know that I use that one a lot. I just overuse it. So feel free to steal that for yourself. So under settings, what I'm going to do here is change the font size so it's a little bigger, and then I'm also going to remove the top padding so there's not so much white space at the top. And with that, we are ready for the last element, which is our headline. So you just go ahead and drop in whatever your headline is. If you're not quite sure how to do the copywriting for your headlines or your bullet points, I'll link up in the cards and the description full-blown video that walks through how to design your landing pages, as well as a playlist that goes through a bunch of different copywriting formulas. So make sure you check that out in the description. And so now we have our completed squeeze page. This is all we need. I know it looks simple, but we get upwards of 30 to 40% conversion rates on our squeeze and landing pages simply because we're offering good lead magnets. That lead magnet is really what's powering the success of this page and, of course, the growth of your email list. So now let's go over to our success page. This is going to be the page that pops up as soon as someone enters their name and email. So we'll go ahead and click on our success page here, and we will remove all the content blocks again. Yes, we want to remove them all, and now we have a nice blank page. We only need one element. We're just going to select the column, and then we're going to drop in some text real quick and move on to setting up our email automations. So I'll go ahead and click on edit here. I'm going to drop in the exact same image I used on the squeeze page because we're saying, hey, this is what you're getting. You just entered your name and email. This is what you're about to get. I'm going to go ahead and remove this heading, and I'm also going to change this heading to say check your email because that's what we want people to do right now. Now, you may have seen other lead generation funnels or sales funnels where there is a video right here, and you can do that. I don't recommend putting any sales message right here yet. Let's do all the sales with our emails and make sure that people actually get some value before we start asking for money. And then we'll just come down here and change up this text to let them know exactly what email to look for, email address to look for, just in case we got subjugated to spam, which is no fun, but it happens quite a bit. So we'll go ahead and align this center. We'll change the text to 24, and then we should be good to go. And of course the button, we don't need the button. So we're just going to delete the button text, and just like that, the button disappears. So with that, we're all done. So we can come over here to settings and just adjust so that it automatically adjusts for the responsive, talking over myself again. Now we can click save, ahead of myself here. So we'll go back to landing page, Now we are done. So we've created our landing page and our confirmation page. So we've finally collected that email address, and now we can get to the email automations, right? So I'll go ahead and click on save and update here. It's gonna load again, and you can change the URL. You won't be able to use a custom URL unless you pay $10 a month for their landing page features, but that's okay because this URL will work. You can also update your favicon, so that's the little thing that shows up in the browser tab. You probably want to change that, and then we'll come down here, put in any sort of tracking and analytics you need, save and continue, and we're gonna go ahead and copy our URL so we can see our completed page. So if you're getting some value out of this video, make sure you hit that like button. Now it's time for us to move past our convert plan because we've collected that email address. Now it's time to set up our 3 automation sequences. The first one is going to be our sales sequence. So this is the 5 to 7 email sequence that will go out. I'm gonna try not to say sequence so many times, that will be sent out as soon as someone enters their name and email and after they receive their lead magnet. So all the sales automation is supposed to do, I'm going to switch between automation and sequence, is build goodwill and then make a paid offer. Now, key is make a paid offer, not a hard sale here, because someone just entered their name and email. We're doing soft selling here. We're not doing any sort of hard sales with the sequence because we don't know how interested they are in our product or service. We're just keeping it nice and basic because a majority of people, they're not gonna buy. So we need to drop them into our second sequence and continue to follow up with them, if not for a couple weeks or a couple months. So here is a very basic blueprint of what I recommend for your first 5 emails. The first email, of course, is going to be, hey, here's the free awesome thing that you asked for, and here's how it's going to make your life so much easier. So you want that first email to focus on what they just received and really build up the value of what they've just received, because we need to keep the value coming through this email sequence, and we need to make sure that we start off on the right foot. Now, the next email is going to talk about a big challenge that they face. So if your product or service solves problem X, then in this email, you want to talk about how problem X is a really big deal and could potentially sabotage what they're trying to accomplish. And then in the PS section, nowhere in the email, in the PS section, include, by the way, if you're interested in learning how to solve this better, faster, stronger, then you can check out my cool course or cool offer here. And that's it. That's the only sales that happens in the second email. So then for our third email will be a hero story of success. And the primary purpose of this email is to build rapport with your new subscriber, to essentially say, hey, I understand all of these problems and anguishes that you're struggling with because I used to be there, or I had a client that used to be there, or this other person used to be there. So it's okay if you're pointing to someone who's kind of famous in your niche or industry. Then what's most important is you don't make up the story. The story does in fact need to be real. And again, in the PS section, talk about your paid offer. Then email 4 and 5, this is where you're going to be a little more transparent and upfront about the fact that you're trying to sell something. You have some sort of offer that you think is going to be valuable to them. So in both of these emails, you're going to talk about the benefits of overcoming the problems and the roadblocks that you talked about with the first 2 emails. So you see how it kind of comes full circle? The first 2 emails, they're pretty largely negative, right? And then this is kind of the light at the end of the tunnel. You're saying, hey, if you use this product or service, you're going to be able to enjoy these results, and it's going to be faster, easier, better, or whatever. But again, you're not doing anything where buy now or you lose your 500 discount. Nothing like that. We're keeping it story-based and talking about their problems and solutions. No sort of discounts or guarantees or any sort of salesmanship in these emails. You're just talking to someone. You should be typing as if you're talking to someone having a cup of coffee. So hopefully that is enough for you to get started with these 5 emails. Let's go ahead and jump back in and set up our automation. So now that we have our landing page that's adding people to our group, we need to create an automation on the back end of that so these emails automatically are sent out. And of course, we automatically send our lead magnet. So let's go ahead and go back into MailerLite. This time we're going to go ahead and click on automation, and we're going to create a new workflow. We're going to name this workflow the exact same thing we named the landing page and our group, because we want it to be very easy for us to remember what is all connected, right? So we're going to go ahead and and say when a subscriber joins a new group, start this automation. The group, of course, is the one we set up for our landing page. So I'll go ahead and click on that, and then we can go ahead and click on save. I do not recommend for this sequence in particular allowing people to repeat. So this is saying if someone goes to your landing page again, enters their name and email again, don't send them through the same sequence over again. You can just have the automation send them over to your second sequence, which is your broadcast. I'm gonna get there. I'm losing count here. So this is our first trigger, right? So this is the setting that gets our entire email marketing process started. Let's go ahead and add our first email. So we'll add our first email here. Go ahead and give it a subject line. We can design the email. Go with the legacy rich text editor. You don't need anything fancy with your email. Plain text is the best way to go. And if you disagree with me, then okay, enjoy, lower deliverability rates, right? So we'll go ahead and click on the text here. You can paste in whatever your text is. Of course, you want it to be plain text because that is going to help you stay out of the promotion and spam folder, because the only people who send emails that look like a web page are those who are marketing products and services. So you want to look like a normal sender to all of the internet service providers. You can go ahead and change your font and your sizes, of course, and then let's go ahead and just click done editing. I'll let you play around with that later. Okay, let's go ahead and add a delay here. So now we've delivered our lead magnet, our conversion plan is complete. Let's start some sales sequence. So this first one is going to be that big problem you face email. So I'm going to go ahead and click add a delay. We don't want to send them all 5 emails at once. So let's go ahead and set the delay to 1 day here, and then go ahead and click on save. We're going to click plus again. This time we'll click an email, and then this is going to be the first email in our sales sequence. And of course, we'll give it some sort of title and then click on save. I'll let you go through the editing process again. So at this point, you have everything you need to complete your sales sequence. So you're just going to repeat the day and the action up to 5 more times. So all these emails are doing are following that template we talked about earlier, going through the biggest problem, the hero story of success, and then the 2 benefit emails. So going back to our diagram here, if you have any questions, go ahead and comment below. I still read and reply to every single one. We have our landing page, we've delivered the lead magnet, and we've set up our rules right here. So now it's time to create our broadcast sequence, because ultimately most people probably aren't going to purchase the product or service. So we need to move them through the sales sequence and then ship them over to another group where you're going to be sending out your broadcast emails. And these are the emails you send out 2 to 5 times a week, where they are just general, hey, here's some cool content, or hey, here's a new product or service. So going back over to our diagram, we're going to set a day delay, and then we're going to trigger to move the subscriber to another group. So to help kind of graphically represent what we're doing here, take a look at this diagram. So the top part here is what we just did, right? And so when this top part is done, we want to drop them into our general list. So everyone who goes through any sales sequence, at the end of the sales sequence, they go into that general broadcast list where we're sending 2 to 5 emails a week, and every 4 to 5, we send some sort of promotional email. And that's as complex as your email marketing needs to be. So again, timestamps if you want to come back to this. Let's go back over to MailerLite, and we're going to set up that automation. So now what we're doing is they've gone through the sales sequence, and we're just going to ship them over to our general broadcast sequence. So we'll go ahead and click on the plus button here. We'll click on delay. We're going to say 1 day delay, and then we'll go ahead and click on save. And one more time, we'll click the plus button, this time in action, and we want to select copy to a group. Now it's important that we copy to a group. We don't move to a group. So we'll go ahead and copy to the group. We'll select the group, and this is going to be your group of everyone on your email list. So if someone's not going through a sequence, they should be on this group, right? So we'll go ahead and select one Aspire Entrepreneur, because that's what we call our general broadcast, and we'll go ahead and click on save. And so now we have all of the automations for our first 2 sequences. At the very top, we've delivered the lead magnet. Then we have anywhere from 5 to 7 emails that are selling our product or service. And then once that sequence is done, don't worry, we'll get to what happens if they wind up buying. Then they will be dropped into our general broadcast list. And that's all there is to it, to the first two automations. We'll get to customers in a moment here. So this is everything we've covered so far. And now we want to handle what happens if someone actually purchases our product or service, right? The ideal scenario. They're going through that sequence and somewhere in there, they finally say, you know what? I think this product or service is for me. I'm going to go ahead and buy it. And if they do, our diagram gets a little more complicated. So the good news is we only have really 3 more steps to go, 7, 6, and 8, even though this diagram is getting a little cramped. So let's go back over to MailerLite because we're going to create the sequence for our new customers. When someone purchases the product or service, we need to tag them in our email marketing to say, hey, they actually purchased our product or service. So we're going to go ahead and create a new workflow here. And this workflow name should just be whatever your product or service name is. So I'm just going to say demo sequence purchased, right? And we'll go ahead and click on our workflow here when subscriber joins a new group. So we'll click on new group. Now we don't have a customer group yet. So we're going to click on here to create a new group. And of course, I'm going to name the group the exact same thing I named the automation. So this group and automation is for people who bought the product or service. That's it. They have to buy to get on this. If they didn't buy, they shouldn't be here, right? So we'll go ahead and create that group, and that's going to be the group that's going to trigger this sequence. Pretty much the exact same way we started our first sales sequence, or sales automation. I promise I wouldn't say sequence so much, sales automation. So then what we have here is our automation is set up to start when someone purchases a product or service. I'll show you how to set this up in a shopping cart in a moment. So let's go ahead and hit the plus button. We're going to have an action, and we need to remove them from our sales sequence, right? Because they're going through that sales sequence and all of a sudden they say, you know what, I'm going to buy. Well, we want the sequence to stop immediately, and we want this sequence that we're setting up to start immediately. So we're going to click on Remove Group, and then you'll go ahead and select whatever your rapport building sequence was. So here I'm just switching it to demo for example purposes, but that CMF content marketing sequence that we were using earlier, that's what we would select here. So we'll go ahead, select that sequence, click on save, and so now we're saying, hey, start the sequence when they buy, and then remove them from the sales sequence so they don't keep getting sales emails about what they just purchased, right? This is really, really important. So now we're going to go ahead and click on the plus button again. Now we're going to send a welcome email. So of course, you already know how to design an email, so I'm just going to put in a quick headline here and then go ahead and click on save. Now, if you want to go through the process of sending multiple onboarding emails, feel free. You're more than welcome to. That's what you would do here. I'm going to assume that you're keeping this quick and dirty and simple, and you're just sending one, hey, welcome to the community. Here's all the access that you need. Here's the support email if you have any questions, right? So you can always create more in your onboarding process later. So I'm going to go ahead and click on here. I'm going to set a delay, and then I'm going to set that delay to 1 day again, and then go ahead and click on save. And one more time, save, and then one more time, I'm going to click the plus button and select action. And this time I'm going to copy to group. So I'm going to copy to group. And of course, what are we going to do? We're going to copy them to our general broadcast list. So I'm going to copy to the general broadcast list, click on save, and you can see our final customer sequence here. So we make sure that this sequence starts when someone joins the customer list. We remove them from the sales sequence, they go through the onboarding emails, and then they're added to our general broadcast list, right? And the reason that we copy to the general broadcast list is now, in the future, if you ever do a promotion for this product, and you want to send out a broadcast email, you can say, hey, don't send it to people who've already seen the offer and people who already purchased the offer, right? So that's why we copy when we're doing this automation at the bottom. So going back to our diagram, you can see that we've covered everything that we need to do from an email automation standpoint inside of MailerLite. So now what I want to do as a final top off is make sure you understand how to set this up with your shopping cart. So whatever shopping cart software you're using, hopefully it works with MailerLite. I'm going to use Thrivecart as an example. Inside of your shopping cart, you need to look for automation, rules, or behavior, and this is where you're integrating with your email autoresponder. So this is Thrivecart. I'll link up in the description if you want to learn more about it. It's a one-time fee of like $500, and over the course of 2 or 3 years, it's going to save you a lot in terms of paying $50 or $100 for a shopping cart. So we'll go ahead and click on Add Rule here, and we'll say when product is purchased, use MailerLite and add them to, and then we would select our demo sequence our demo group that we just set up. product purchase. So I'm blurring it out here because this has some private information, but that's how MailerLite would know to add someone to the customer list. It has to be done in your shopping cart software. And so that's all there is to it, to getting started with email marketing. Now, if you got some value out of this video, you're still watching, go ahead and hit that like button. You are a champion. Make sure you check out the affiliate link in the description to learn more about MailerLite. And even if you decide not to use MailerLite, this exact system, this automation process is what you should use for your first email automation and your first sales funnel, no matter what software that you're using. So go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dive list building growth guides just like this one. And until the next, keep building the business you love.